2022 Goffstown Select Board meeting. At this time, I will call the meeting to order and start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we can start with the minutes from January 10th, 2022.
I'll make a motion, we accept the 1/10/22 public and non-public meetings with corrections if need be.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mark, second by Jim. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstain, passes unanimously.
Excuse me, sorry. Do we have to roll call votes all the time because Peter's not here?
No.
No.
No, that would only be if he was
We're present, right?
remotely.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we do the 1/14/2022 public and non-public minutes with corrections if need be.
Second?
Okay, motion by Mark, seconded by Collis. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, abstained? Nope, passes unanimously. Okay, announcements. So at this time, I'd like to ask a representative from the Granite State Health and Fitness Foundation to come up to the front and present a donation to the Friends of the Goffstown Rail Trail for the 2022 Rail Trail Project.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I am Warren Denby, President of the Friends of the Goffstown Rail Trail, and I'm pleased to report that we completed our 2021 project, and we're now 75% complete on the rail trail and have it up to the town standards. I need to thank the Parks and Recreation Department and the Commission for their support, and also the Department of Public Works, but we're moving ahead. And I also am able to announce that we've got a grant this year to finish Lynchville Park to Moose Club Park. And that's the largest section of the trail that we've ever worked on. It's 3,500 feet. And we've got a grant to proceed with that. And we've also got small sections of the trail with commitments from some of the trail abutters. So we're starting to look at the prospect of finishing the complete 5.5 miles of trail in the future. But as a result of that, we are heavily dependent on member contributions and on commitments to fund our activity. And also, I'm very glad that we do have 18,900 followers on the website and on our Facebook page. And as a result of that, we are one of the destination trails in New Hampshire and throughout New England. So we're getting a lot of visitors and a lot of traffic and members of the public that are utilizing our trail. With the result of that, I don't really think I need to introduce Gary here from the Granite State Health and Fitness Foundation, but he has a few things to say and has been very active in terms of the Glen Lake Swim and races organized on the rail trail.
Good evening. My name is Gary Gerolman, and I'm here representing the Granite State Health and Fitness Foundation, an independent 501c3 nonprofit striving to promote and support health, fitness, and wellness opportunities in southern New Hampshire. We support infrastructure, programs, and events that promote a healthy lifestyle. The Granite State Health and Fitness Foundation is the organization behind the Glen Lake Swim, as was just mentioned. The Goffstown Rail Trail provides safe and healthy recreational opportunities for thousands of individuals and families all year long and aligns perfectly with the purpose of our organization. This year, the Friends of the Goffstown Rail Trail will be building a 2/3 mile section of the trail for which they need to raise $20,000. Granite Safe Health and Fitness Foundation would like to contribute to this goal by presenting the Friends of the Goffstown Rail Trail with a $2,500 donation.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
And good work. We really appreciate all the work you guys do.
You guys selling those shirts?
Yes, they are readily available, both in the hardware store and via our treasurer here.
Good to know, thank you.
If we may have 1 minute for a photo op, please?
Sure.
Sure.
I don't know if the board wants to stand up ahead. The board has already voted to accept the donated trail once the improvements are
Be
made.
okay?
Yeah, I'll be good. Just gotta get there.
All right.
Find my center, you know?
Yep, I got you.
So we have the check in our hands?
I didn't know if you wanted to go up with the board as well.
Maybe not, which means we can sit.
Okay.
There we go.
So have you, do you want to go up with the board since again it is ultimately
Yes.
will be.
Let's just kind of make it around the corner.
There we go.
All these followers
Yeah, you
on
know what?
Facebook will just love to see our
They
smiley
sure do.
faces.
There you go, Collis.
Thank-
That's the way to do it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Let's crunch
Come on
in,
down.
crunch in here.
All right, no, you're good.
Smile.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Good work.
Thank you very much.
Great stuff. Okay, I'm going to make an announcement about town and school candidate filing period. This is a reminder to residents interested in running to serve as an elected town or school district official. The candidate filing period is now open. Candidate filing can be done at the town clerk's office during regular town hall business hours, Monday through Friday, 8 o'clock a.m. to 4 o'clock p.m. The candidate filing period ends this Friday, January 28th at 5 o'clock p.m. Candidates filing on the last filing day must appear in person. The candidate openings are currently listed on the town's website. The list can be found by clicking on Elections Info on the homepage and looking under the town clerk's 2022 elections information.
A little
Adam's
bit
next,
early, yeah, we're a little bit early for public comment. If you'd like, I can start in on tab 5A for your committee meeting schedule.
Sounds great. Thank you.
So here's your committee meeting schedule for the next 3 weeks. On Wednesday at 6:30 p.m., the HDC is meeting at Grassmere Town Hall. I believe that's Selectman Lemay.
Yep, got it.
7 p.m., Conservation Commission here in this room.
Yes,
And on Thursday at 7 p.m., Planning Board will be in this room.
yes.
Next week on Wednesday at 6 p.m., Economic Development Council here.
I'll be here.
And then the following week, on Monday, February 7th, there are no town meetings. However, just a reminder that at 7 p.m. the school district deliberative session will be at Mountain View Middle School. Just note there is a venue change, so we'll be at a different location. On Tuesday, February 8th at 5:30, the sewer commission will be in this room.
I will be here for that.
Okay, and then at 7 p.m. we have the town deliberative session. I would ask that members be there 30 minutes prior.
Sure.
And do any last questions. And then Thursday of that week is a snow date if needed for the town deliberative session, and at 7 p.m. will be the planning board on Thursday.
So there, if we do go to the snow date, there will be a conflict there, we'll reschedule a planning board meeting, I assume?
We will talk to the planning
Okay.
board chair, yes.
Thank you.
At your next page is your consent agenda. You have an employee status report for a town engineer new hire, a call fire lieutenant step increase, and a deputy fire chief return to regular status. And you also have professional services agreement for the fire chief recruitment and selection through Municipal Resources, Inc., and that needs a signature of the chairman, or in this case, the vice chair.
Motion?
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented this evening.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mark, seconded by Jim. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, no. Passes unanimously.
You want to do?
Yep. Okay, at this time, I'd like to open the meeting for public comment. Is there anybody here for public comment?
Just want to ask one question.
come out to the front, go ahead.
Do I speak on the warrant article when you're bringing those up, or can I speak on it now?
It's really your pleasure, but typically, it's under old business, and you would typically not open that to the public, so.
So now's probably the best
Now would
time?
be the best time.
Okay, now's the best time.
Vic Martel, I did a little research afterwards, and I reached out to some communities to see what it would cost them. Unfortunately, you only get the bottom line, not what, but I looked around, I checked out what engineering's basically what they're charging by the hour and stuff like that, and I believe it could be like 50,000 or less would take care for the cost to do the study on Station 17, depending on what everything has to be done,
Who'd you check with, Dick?
I went online and just looked at some engineering companies, what they're charging and everything, because you just call them and you don't get, just like I call well companies to find out about because there's arsenic in the well, but you don't get a response back, You're just spinning wheels for nothing, but like, some engineers that go anywhere, the engineering firm goes anywhere from $150 to $300 an hour, what they base it on for the time they're gonna put in, in the firm itself, not if you hire an independent engineer. But,
So if I could, so did you go as far as to ask them what their scope of services would be? What'd you say, 50,000?
no, I just went online to see,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because you don't get no response. You can call, you wait, I did call a couple of them, just like I called Wells, I called Kentucky, I called a few other ones, and I asked a question, and could you get back to me and give me answers? Nobody ever bothers calling back.
Go ahead, Jim.
The warrant article now says 200,000.
Yes.
Where'd that number come from?
I just pulled the number up because I didn't know what it entails, because I haven't been in the station, so I don't know. I know that, I understand it's hard to heat, because it's only block walls, which that could be insulated by metal studding it and insulating it on the interior, as long as it doesn't encroach on the room, otherwise you gotta do it on the exterior, I know there's arsenic in the well, I know they gotta find a way to emit the exhaust fumes from the truck,
Okay.
the different things, And I don't know what the roof structure, how much, if it can carry whatever they're gonna do,
You got some?
I'll check.
Go ahead.
Do you have or somebody else prepared to present the article at the deliberative session?
Yes, I could.
Okay, well, somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, no, I could.
Okay.
I just wanted to bring this up before you guys
No,
discuss it.
no, I just want you to be aware that somebody's going to have to present it,
Yeah.
since it's by petition, he can't.
I just want to see what it's gonna cost, it's, a few of the towns that I reached out to, they said the best thing to do is you put a safety center in, that's what they did.
Yeah.
We had that discussion before. Go ahead, Mark.
As Carla stated, if you're going to speak on the article, when you come and debate it, please bring us names, numbers, and people you spoke to, instead of just saying $50,000, because I'm sure you're gonna get the same question, well, who do you speak to for $50,000? Give us name of the company. It's gonna be a little bit of work, but, I mean, if you want us to act on this, we need to have some firm ground with names, numbers, and what exactly they plan on doing. I mean, just to throw the number like 200,000, I'll use that number. That number I know is so far out of the ballpark, it's probably not even, it's not a legitimate number. 50,000, I don't think, to me personally, and I'm speaking personally, I don't think 50,000 is enough to fix that fire station.
No, this ain't to fix it, this is for the studies.
Well, the study, I mean, even, I don't even think the 50,000 is gonna get us to do the study, to be honest with you. That's just me, and I'll leave it at that. But when you come forward, please have names of companies and what they're planning on doing and how they plan on doing it. That's all I'm asking.
All right,
Thank you.
yeah.
Okay, is there anybody else here for public comment? Okay, seeing no one, I will close the public comment section and move on to Adam from Public Works.
Good evening, folks.
Good evening.
David Pierce is here, in case you have any questions for the sewer commission as part of the request tonight. So in your packets, I've got a memo for you. The sewer commission has a project on Louis Street that was originally scheduled for 2021, but due to lack of bidding interest, it was rebid, and then by the time bids were awarded, it was pretty late in the season last year to move forward. But they have awarded the project for Louis Street sewer line replacement and rehabilitation to Enbernice and Sons out of Massachusetts. And part of the discussions, I think I've mentioned to the board a couple times, going into that work were that we would like to take part in the construction effort and get some of the drainage repairs that are needed on Louis Street done as well. It's a bit ahead of schedule. We have that neighborhood planned after we finish the Hillside neighborhood above College Road, which we're still in midstream on now, but because sewer's in, now it makes sense to try to piggyback on that work while the street's open, get everything done while we can, and then only pave it once rather than ask the sewer commissioners to maybe leave the road in better shape than they find it by making it either a curb to curb or a really large patch down the whole length of the road and let that sit for a few years. So they can save a little on asphalt, and overall, taxpayers and ratepayers can save a little bit on the mobilization by having a crew that's already there with the street open. And make some of those connections. A lot of the drainage on half of the street, which is the sewer commission's phase A work that you see in the attachment, is the drainage is basically co-located with the sewer. So to get to the sewer, the drainage is going to be disturbed anyway. So when we had talked initially before they went out to bid about what would make sense from a cost sharing perspective, and the arrangement that we had tentatively agreed to was if it's going to be relocated or removed by the sewer commission, makes sense to have the sewer commission build that into the project. But if we can get a better end result, we split the asphalt cost with them on the repaving end, and then once they had a contractor lined up, we could provide the materials for them while they're in there for the sewer work. But if the contractor could give us a number for the remainder of the street, which doesn't have sewer in it, which would now need to be touched, the drainage on the other side of the street, and it was amenable, we would do that rather than try to leave it open or have to have us add it to our schedule early. So we did receive that number from Enbernice and Sons. They quoted us, as you'll see on the, I think it's going to be the third piece on the packet, I can't remember which order it's in, but $136,640, and that was for the additional drainage in addition to the cost of splitting the asphalt, which is another $48,000. So for a total of $184,640, we could have all the drainage that's needed on Louis Street be contracted while it's there with the sewer work. Let the residents there only have to deal with one construction season, hopefully, and then have a base pavement by the end of the project this year, and then we would top the entire road next year and cross Louis Street off, and then when we're ready, we can start in with the next street over.
Okay. Thank you. Questions?
Thank you.
Calls?
Adam, do you have any sense for why we can't get people to bid on these projects? I mean, $185,000 isn't peanuts. Why is it we can't get companies to bid on these things?
And even more so, you look at the sewer bottom line cost. We're over $750,000 for the entire sewer piece. Maybe the sewer commissioners heard from Grenice after the bid award. I don't know if it was
Is it supply issues? Is it labor issues? All the above? I mean, what the
could be.
heck?
I heard that supply issues made a pretty significant lead time on some ductile iron pipe for a few companies last year, so there may be some of that. I think it might be just the right size project, a little too big maybe for some smaller one-off type septic installers that might try to do a little street project here or there, maybe not a whole road, but not quite big enough to grab the bigger folks. It may just be that historically, summer of '21 was a tough time to try to grab somebody. They might have had some manning issues, so maybe all of the above, probably all of the above. It's hard to know, though, and hard to say, let's keep going back to the well and rebid and rebid and rebid, without...
Do you know if other towns are having the same problem?
I've heard that the ability of materials is widespread. We are also looking at the possibility that as more and more of these infrastructure funds that we've been talking about from, ARPA and other, start to become released, now it's going to be everybody's fighting for the same contractors with a bunch of money. So when they start throwing money at the bridge aid programs and stuff, you start to have a harder time getting companies to bid because everybody's schedule is full. So I bet we're in for a couple of years of tooth and nail. The good news, if there is one, is that the Sewer Commission is at the end, I think, of their replacement game plan. This will be, I think, the final real project. So going forward, we don't anticipate much contracted work from a roadwork perspective. This was sort of a target of opportunity, but for the most part, we plan on continuing with the in-house installation and general contracting by town staff. But so we may avoid some of those painful discussions, luckily. But I think it's going to be a lot of people fighting for the same contractors.
Yeah. Any other questions? Motion?
I'll make a motion to recommend awarding the DPW portion of the Louis Street Sewer Project and additional drainage work on Louis Street to N. Grancy and Sons in the amount of $184,640.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Collis, second by Jim. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, passes unanimously. Thank you.
Just maybe for clarification too, I probably should have written that a little bit more.
I was just reminding Adam that the Sewer Commission is contracting for the entire project, drainage and the sewer work, and we trust the sewer department will reimburse us somewhere down the road.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Derek, back to you. Where did we leave off at?
I think we were on tab 5C. You did the consent agenda.
Okay.
We're on assessor's recommendations.
Okay.
The town assessor recommends the following: veterans tax credit for map 3, lot 1-1-19, map 8, lot 52B, and map 4, lot 87-5-23-23. All veterans tax credit on map 6, lot 22-53. A veterans tax credit and service-connected disability on map 5, lot 35-6A, and map 11, lot 14.
Motion to approve the assessor's recommendations as presented.
Second.
Okay, motion by Collis, second, I'll say Jim. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, none, passes unanimously.
At tab 5D, you have a request from the finance director. This is a budget transfer request for the quarterly benefit cash out for those full-time employees that source their health insurance from another source. We would be seeking to make this budget transfer of $42,870.26 from the insurance benefits line to the various wage lines, and this is the final transfer of 2021.
Questions?
So Derek, this is what we do every quarter, right? There's nothing unique about this one? So
Correct,
to
yes.
Get into the weeds at all?
Yeah, basically just a reminder that
Okay.
we budget for the health insurance plan that the employee is eligible for, but if they are able to provide insurance through a spouse, or if they're under 26 from a parent, then they get a weekly opt-out amount that they get. It's a savings to the town, but we do need to transfer that from the insurance line to those those wage lines.
Okay.
I move to approve the budget transfer request for the reallocation of $42,870.26 from insurance benefits to the various wage lines as presented.
Second.
A motion by Jim, seconded by Mark. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, none. Motion passes.
At tab 5E, you have an annual report of Federal Equitable Sharing Agreement. This is between the Police Department and the Department of Justice and the Department of Treasury. This is something that we do every year The equitable sharing fund balance was $6,554.96 at the end of the report year, and there were no funds spent in 2021.
Go ahead.
Why were no funds spent, Derek? What's happening here? I mean, it's not a bad thing, I'm just curious
Why do it?
why we budget for it and we don't spend it.
Well, I'm pretty sure we budget for, and Daniel can help me with this, but we use it for like asset forfeiture. So that's stuff that we get from the federal government that we have in an account that if we need it for other situations, we can pull that money. But we're not budgeting for it. It comes from the federal government if we need it, but we haven't used it this year.
So could use it for other things like emergency management
I
activities?
don't
or-
believe so. It's
or-
very geared towards specific things that, through investigations, drug stuff,
Oh,
or
okay,
things of that nature, so
okay. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Okay, I move that we approve the annual equitable sharing agreement between the Goffstown Police Department and the Department of Justice, and to authorize the chair or vice chair to sign the agreement.
Second?
A motion by Jim, seconded by Collis. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion passes.
That's everything for the town administrator's report.
Okay, so now we're moving to select board discussion. New business, and should we start with the warrant articles?
Yeah, so if you want to start with the petition warrant articles in your packet at tab 6A, single I, you have the two petition articles. These were properly submitted, and both were reviewed by the supervisors of the checklist and have a sufficient number of signatures. So the first would be Article 22. As submitted, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $200,000 for the purpose of a study to bring Station 17 to current safety standards. This sum to come from unassigned fund balance and no amount to be raised by taxation. Again, this was submitted by petition. The Budget Committee voted after their public hearing to not recommend by a vote of 7-3 with 2 abstaining.
Derek, quick question. If this was signed for $200,000, is it even possible to lower it based on a recommendation?
At the deliberative session, it can be amended.
Okay.
However, the board at this time, you do not have the ability to amend it at this time. It would have to be amended at the deliberative session by
Got it.
those present.
Okay.
That's all the warrants that are going to be presented. I'm thinking of that $200,000 for the station. We can't do anything with that either.
At this meeting, you cannot. It has to go on, because it had the proper number of signatures and it was submitted timely, it must go on the warrant as submitted. However, once it gets to deliberative session, one of the things that deliberative session can do is modify the amount. You can't change the subject matter, but yes, you could. The amount could be amended at that meeting.
Okay.
Is that the only thing that can be amended in the warrant, in the articles, is the amounts?
Yes, the subject matter, you can change the wording to provide a little bit of clarification, but you cannot change the purpose
The
of.
substance of it, yeah.
Yeah, and there used to be some other things that you could do that have been changed quite a bit, but for the most part, you cannot change the wording.
Okay, thank you.
Derek, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
How did we arrive at the determination that it would come from the unassigned fund balance? I mean, usually we look at monies that are coming from the unassigned fund balance early on. I mean, how was that determination arrived at?
That's how the petition was submitted,
Okay.
which, yep.
So it's somebody else's wording, not,
Correct, yep, that
Okay.
was exactly how the petition, and I can pass around, I do have a copy of both petitions here. I didn't make a copy for the entire board because I believe we emailed it out to
yeah.
board members, but I do have, but yeah, it does have that wording on the actual
So
petition.
we don't know if the petitioner has any knowledge or working knowledge of the unassigned fund balance, how it works?
I know that I did sit down with Mr. Martell and explain as a special article, these funds, if approved at town meeting, could not be spent for any other purpose. They would be limited to the purpose of the article. And then There would be no additional taxation if you came from unassigned fund balance, and any funds not spent by the appropriation would go back into fund balance.
Yeah, my only, my observation is it's easy to say it'll come from the unassigned fund balance and none of it from taxation, but is that reality? You know, if petitioners came in and said that every time, that, you know, we're gonna use the unassigned fund balance, so we're not raising any taxes. I don't know if that tells the story.
You
Just an
will not be raising any additional taxation. I know there's always an argument that those are funds that were
Yeah, and I didn't.
previously taxed and unspent, so I do understand.
And I didn't mean to go there. I know,
Yeah.
I know about the fund. Okay, thank you.
So Derek, on procedures, are these all roll calls?
These are not roll
Okay,
calls.
good.
You would make a motion to recommend or to not recommend.
Okay.
Then you would take a vote on it, and this is how it will appear on the warrant that gets posted at the polling location. So Danielle has got her laptop open. She's gonna tally these votes. We're actually gonna print it off tonight so that members can sign while you're here.
Okay.
So that we can post, because we have to post no later than the last Monday of January, which is next week.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion on this?
So,
Go ahead.
with all due respect to the petitioner and petitioners, there is just not nearly enough information here for me to make a intelligent, informed, and educated decision as to whether or not I'm gonna recommend this go on to the ballot. And lacking that information, I can't support it.
And I'll follow up with saying, the information we have just been numbers that have been drawn out of the sky. We don't have a solid foundation, we don't have a solid group of numbers, and without having that, I think it would be reckless upon us for making that decision, and I'm going to say I'm not in favor of it.
I mean, that's not to say that the petitioners won't
They can make-
garner something from this exercise, and maybe next year they'll know, you know, what kind of detail they need to come forward with, that sort of thing. So, but at this point, I just can't support it.
It's almost like the same thing with Main Street that we did, you know,
Yeah.
because they didn't have that, you know, so
Where's the detail?
consistence, right?
And I would just point out, this is how, what your recommendation will go on the warrant, and it would go on the ballot if there was no change to the dollar amount. If the dollar amount is amended at deliberative session, you will have a meeting immediately thereafter that night, and you could modify your recommendation vote
Yep.
at that time.
With a different dollar amount, yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, if the dollar amount is changed, then you can change your recommendation, vote.
And who has authority to
So-
change the dollar amount?
The deliberative session, all those registered voters that are there the night of deliberative that
Anybody-
participate.
Anybody, okay.
Yep, there's a
Not
process.
just us,
Yep.
okay.
So that would be my motion, to not recommend.
Okay, motion to not recommend.
And I'll second that.
Second, so motion by Collis, seconded by Mark to not recommend. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, abstained? Okay, passes unanimously. So that's 22-23.
And then Article 23 came in, shall the following provisions pertaining to elections be adopted? All voting shall be by paper ballot, and all ballots shall be hand counted only, rather than by use of optical scanning or any other types of programmable electronic counting devices.
I wouldn't recommend that, but go ahead.
No, no,
Yeah,
the moderator's
yeah, can we,
dead set against it.
can we read that into the record, so it's part of the record?
The moderator?
Yeah,
Yep.
memo from the moderator.
Yes, sure. So this is from the moderator. Hi, Derek. That's our town administrator. It has been brought to my attention that a petitioned article has been presented to the town which would require all ballots to be counted by hand. I understand that the select board will have the town warrant, including this petitioned article, under consideration at its meeting scheduled for January 24th, 2022. I would like the board to know that, as the Goffstown moderator, I strongly oppose this petitioned article and would urge the board to not recommend passage of the petitioned article. Please include this email in the packets which you prepare for the board. Thank you, Rod Stark, and that's our moderator.
It's just that if someone wanted a recount, isn't it a hand count?
So there is a process for requesting a recount of any office, any candidate that wants to submit it. There's also a process for requesting a recount for warrant, and at those times, those are done by hand.
So Derek, I have the same question. So does the petitioner know they're gonna have to present this?
They have been, I emailed the lead petitioner to let them know the schedule of the deliberative session.
Okay.
I also explained that you would be taking this up this evening with a vote to recommend or not recommend. That was only sent to the lead petitioner who submitted it. If you like, we do have contact information that was provided with the petition of those people that signed. We can forward that information to those people.
Well, I think we need to let them know that the burden's on them. This is their petition article. You know, if they wanna promote it and hope that it passes, then they need to stand up and present it. And
Yeah, we can definitely do that,
Okay.
but I did send out an email last week saying that you would be taking a motion, or you'd be taking a vote to recommend or not recommend, and then when the deliberative session was, when it could, it would come up for discussion.
And so just so we know, and folks are watching TV, how many votes you typically get cast?
So I looked at the last 4 elections, just on the town side.
Yeah,
We averaged 20 warrant articles. That's between zoning amendments, budgetary, and anything else that's submitted. So we averaged 20 a year with an average of 1,582 voters. So if you multiply 20 warrant articles times 15, almost 1,600 voters, you're talking each election, just on the town side, is over 31,000 individual votes that would need to be hand counted. That does not include those that run for office, where you have all our, the governing body, planning board, budget committee. That does not include any of those. That does not include the school. That does not include presidential primary, state primary, or general election. General election in 2020, we had 10,312 people come out and vote. And it's not simply just for presidential, it's not just president. You have Senate, you have Congress, you have state reps, state senator, county sheriff, county offices, you're talking many, so the magnitude of what it would take would be, it would be a huge undertaking.
So I would, sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
So if I understand this correctly, we would have to significantly increase the funding for election days or any election-related activities to do
Yes.
this by hand, very significantly, it sounds like.
Yes, because just the number of people, if you could find them, I would say that for those that have worked the polls, I think you've seen the impact that COVID has
Yeah.
had on those people willing to come out and serve at the polls and to count at the end of the night. But yeah, we would have to, and we would I can't even begin to think of what numbers we'd have to hand count all of these items, as well as you cannot leave the polls until
Right.
the counting is done.
Once you start,
Once you start counting,
yep.
you are in for it.
That is a staggering number. Even pre-COVID, I mean, we were working to the wee hours of the morning, counting machine votes. Counting every hand ballot would take us literally days, if not weeks, to count those. And I would think that that would be ripe for a demand for recounts. And we'd have to go through this whole thing all over again, days and days and days, and just at tremendous cost to the town.
Agreed. Motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion. We do not recommend Article 23 to go onto the ballot.
Second.
A motion by Collis, second by Mark, to not recommend. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
So we will contact those again, because the petition on that one did actually have email addresses of all those that signed and were certified, so we can send just to make sure they know of when the deliberative session is, the location, and that somebody will need to present that information.
Okay, moving to, it looks like we need to make recommendations on 13 through 23, with the exception of Main Street, which we already voted on.
Yes.
Okay, you want separate motions for each?
Yes, please.
Okay. And let's start with Article 13, the appropriation from the EMS budget.
If it's helpful to the chair, I can just go read those real quick for you.
Sure, please.
So this is to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $492,851 for the purpose of funding EMS operations. Said funds to come from the Emergency Medical Services Special Revenue Fund as previously established in 2001. This appropriation is offset by the revenue from the ambulance insurance payments, and there will be no funds raised from general taxation. And then also included in that language, passage of this article will reduce the operating budget in Article 12 by that $492,851.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to recommend Article 13 as presented.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mark, seconded by Jim to recommend Article 13. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, passes unanimously. Okay, 14, Derek?
So Article 14 is the CBA between the professional firefighters. This board did previously vote to ratify the tentative agreement. However, we did not have I think we only had 3 members at that meeting. So again, this is the 3-year CBA between the town and the professional firefighters of Goffstown Local 3420 International Association of Firefighters, which calls for the following increases in salaries and benefits at the current staffing level. 2020, I'm sorry, we actually have an error here. So it's actually in fiscal year 2022, the estimated increase is $106,202. 2023 will be $86,017, and 2024, so Daniel, if you can make those changes, $79,984, and further to raise and appropriate the sum of $106,202 for the current fiscal year, such sum representing the additional costs attributed to the increase in salaries and benefits required by the new agreement over those that would be paid at current staffing levels. This appropriation is in addition to Article 12.
Okay.
Recommend the article as presented this evening. Article 14.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mark, seconded by Collis. Any discussion?
Can I ask?
Sure.
How does this affect Article 12? How does
This
Article
is-
12 affect this?
So Article 12 is our operating budget. That includes the general fund operating budget as well as the cost for ambulance, as well as the sewer commission fund, the sewer enterprise fund. This is an appropriation article that is above and beyond our operating budget, so this would be an additional appropriation in this year, and it is a 3-year agreement. So by providing the taxpayers, the voters, those 3-year increases, they become contractual and they become part of our default budget moving forward.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so motion on the table, seconded by Collis?
Yes.
Okay, motion by Mark, seconded by Collis. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, abstained? Okay, passes unanimously. 15.
To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $250,000 to be added to the Fire Department Apparatus Capital Reserve Fund previously established in 2008. This sum to come from unassigned fund balance and no amount to be raised by taxation.
Motion to recommend and place it on the ballot.
Second.
Okay, motion by Collis, seconded by Mark. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, passes unanimously.
16, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $250,000 for the purpose of purchasing and installing a ventilation and fire suppression system for the Public Works garage facility. This sum to come from unassigned fund balance and no amount to be raised by taxation.
I'll make a motion to recommend and place it on the ballot with a comment, if I could.
Sure.
This is a life safety issue. You know, we're talking about the health and safety of the people who work in a DPW garage. This is really needed, and I think it needs to move forward.
And I'll add to Collis's comment, if we all remember a couple of years ago, a town not too far away from us, because they didn't have a fire suppression system in their building, their entire fleet burnt up, and they had to go around to different departments. I won't say beg, borrow, and steal, but departments were nice enough to give them loaner materials and loaner equipment. So I mean, not only life safety, but, you know, dollars and cents for the town of Goffstown as well. I wouldn't want to burn up the fleet, you know, that we have parked in there every night. That'd be, you know, millions upon millions of dollars to get replaced, just to add on to what Collis said.
And I'll second the motion.
Okay, so motion by Collis, seconded by Jim. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, abstained? Passes unanimously.
Article 17, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $170,000 for the purpose of purchasing and installing an air curtain burner to assist with more environmentally friendly disposal of organic matter, brush, and small logs at the Public Works Transfer Station. This sum to come from unassigned fund balance and no amount to be raised by taxation.
Vote to recommend Article 17.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mark, second by Collis, to recommend Article 17. Any discussion? Nope. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, abstained? Nope. Motion passes.
Article 18, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $75,000 for the purpose of replacing the truck scale at Public Works Transfer Station. This sum to come from unassigned fund balance and no amount to be raised by taxation.
I'll make a motion to recommend and move it on to the ballot with a comment, if I could.
Sure.
This is important. The dollars generated from the waste that we collect down at the transfer station is an important revenue source. And if we don't have an accurate scale there, then we're placing ourselves in a very tentative position when it comes to generating revenue from disposal fees.
I'll second Collis's.
Okay, motion by Collis, seconded by Mark to recommend. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, abstained? Passes unanimously.
Article 19, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $100,000 for the purpose of conducting a 10-year update to the town's GIS mapping data, which is based upon updated aerial photography. This sum to come from unassigned fund balance and no amount to be raised by taxation.
Vote to recommend Article 19 as presented.
Okay,
I'll second it.
go ahead.
Is this, I forgot, is this statutory? It's 10 year?
No, this is not statutory. Revaluation that's done by the assessor's office, that must be done every 5 years. We do this every 10 years to try and stay updated with new roads, new subdivisions.
Yeah.
It also allows the assessor to more accurately reflect any changes that may have been done without benefit of permit.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so motion by Mark, seconded by Jim. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Motion passes.
And I think the final one we have for you tonight is Article 20, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $20,000 for the purpose of helping to support the programs of Goffstown nonprofit Crispin's House Coalition for Youth Incorporated, a youth drug, alcohol, and suicide prevention agency. This appropriation is in addition to Article 12.
Motion to recommend and place it on the ballot with our recommendation.
Second.
Okay, motion by Collis, seconded by Mark. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, abstained? Motion passes.
And Article 21 for Main Street was voted on in your meeting at January 10th, and earlier this evening you voted for Article 22 and Article 23.
Great, thank you.
So you will have, we're going to print that out right now, so before you leave this evening, we'll ask for members to sign the warrant.
Okay. Is there anything else under new business? There is, isn't there? Nope, I think that's it. So old business, the purchasing policy. I know people wanted some time to think about that. I assume people did.
I read through it, I saw the red line, I mean, I went through everything. I mean, it looks fine to me.
Yep.
I don't see any issues. I'm not sure about the rest of the members of the board, but everything looks fine to me.
I agree. I think it creates efficiencies, and we need to go in that
Yep.
direction.
I agree.
You agree? Go
I
ahead.
think the only question that we had as staff, there was one question, if you see on page 2 of the report,
Sure.
under bullet number 3, there was an update to section 1.5 under general policies to clarify state contracts. Previously, it was state contracts with a little s, so therefore any state contract. We here at Town Hall changed that to limit it to New Hampshire. However, we have received some feedback from some department heads that it would be helpful to either keep the small s for state or to limit to perhaps a region, rather than limiting to just New Hampshire. So I guess my question for the board is, do you wish to limit it to New Hampshire? Do you want to maintain current language where it's small s state? Do you want to limit it to New England, Northeast region? So I guess that's the one question I did have for the board this evening.
Thank you. I have a thought on this, which is I'd like to stay local whenever possible, but my question for you is, is there cost savings by opening it up to a region or keeping the little s?
So I think when we are able to piggyback on existing contracts through, for example, we've had them out of Massachusetts or Rhode Island, other states, it saves us time and we're able to quickly be a little bit more efficient rather than using staff resources to develop an RFP, to put that out, to do that. So when we are able to use those state contracts, it's a little bit quicker turnaround, therefore a little bit more efficient, less staff time. I guess the question from us here at Town Hall and Finance is it reasonable to be pulling state contracts for something, across the country? Most likely, we're not going to have a lot of vendors that service the full width of the entire country, but it is something that I guess would have been allowed under the current purchasing policy.
Okay. Just that, Mark?
I'm in favor of the small s for state. That's my 2 cents.
Yep.
I'm thinking it
Um,
ain't broke.
yeah. Need a motion, or is that just the?
So I guess if the board is in favor, I would say the motion would be to approve all amendments as presented in this evening's packet, with the one changing the ending under section 1.5. That would be to maintain state contracts with a small s.
Yep.
That's a motion?
Yeah.
Okay, motion by Mark.
Second.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Jim. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? Nope. Passes, motion passes. Okay. Is that the only thing under old business?
Under old business, yes, so you do have your action matrix
Yeah, we pop over that.
under cat 6C.
Was there any updates on the police station?
Not at this time.
Okay. Rotary Park, did we
Yeah,
get?
what's going on?
I actually did hear from Cynthia Bover, the president, today. They've had a hard time getting a quorum at their meetings. She expects that they will have a quorum in their upcoming meetings, so we should have a dollar figure here hopefully pretty soon. So, because I think when we sat down, our question was what improvements have been done there, and if the town were to seek to purchase that land or do some type of land swap, what would it be worth to the club? So that's what we're waiting on at this point.
Would it be beneficial for somebody from this board to meet with them if they'd like to help? Kinda,
Yeah, I can make that offer. Again, I think the message I got today was they're going to be meeting tomorrow, but the uptick in COVID forced them to start meeting remotely again, and just haven't had as much attendance. So.
Can I ask, being a Manchester guy, what is encompassed in Rotary Park specifically?
So the physical Rotary Park is right next to the bridge. It's off to the left as you're heading towards Manchester from here. The actual parcel that the Rotary Club has the deed to is actually the portion of the bridge abutment coming off the bridge. The grass and everything else, much of the features are actually within the town's deeded parcel. So I can send a copy of the map to the board members so everybody's up to date on who owns what on that one.
And is that abandoned factory over there, is that privately owned?
Yes, it is. And that has site plan approval for,
But that's been around for a while, right?
yes.
Yep. Yeah.
so if I can
Go
just
ahead.
add a little more maybe for your benefit, Jim, is that it's been stated that there's been this informal agreement between the Rotary Club and the town of Goffstown, which I personally am not comfortable with. for many reasons, not the least of which is the liability issue. If something happens there, who's gonna assume the liability? So there needs to be, and I don't buy handshake agreements, especially when it comes to town business and liabilities.
Right.
So, been pushing to get something in writing that we can sign and agree to that lays out who's responsible for what and who's liable for what. So just for a little background for it.
Thank you. Thank you. Derek, can I back up 1 second back to the police station? So
Yes.
I know there are no updates, but what are the next step or what's the goal? for the
So we've
next
been
step?
waiting for the county commissioners to make a decision on whether or not they're going to sell the land, and there is a lengthy process under state law for them to sell that land. Since we made a proposal to them, I think about 2 years ago now,
Mhm.
they've been approached by private developers on that same piece of land. So they have not made a clear indication on which direction they're moving. It's my understanding that they directed the county administrator to get a market study of what the land is worth, but beyond that, I do not have a status update of where he's with that, and they have not made indication if they're gonna go out for bid for potential to sell that or what they're doing with that.
Okay. And we've done everything we can to influence the situation? There's nothing more that can be done at this point?
I know that we have had members of the board reach out to some of the county commissioners, just kind of push them on that, and when that's occurred, I have received, I guess, an answer from a status update, so I can seek out another county, or another status update from the county administrator, see where they are with it.
And I appreciate that.
Time to do that again?
Perhaps, yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question on the fire UTV vehicle, Derek.
Yes.
Isn't that new enough that some kind of warranty or guarantee on that engine or that vehicle that, I mean, should our DPW be looking at it first? Or should we just send it right over to the manufacturer of the vehicle, whoever made that vehicle? I don't remember.
I can check with the deputy chief. I know that the deputy chief was working with DPW as well as, maybe not the manufacturer, but where they purchased it from, to see what was covered by warranty and who can service it. So
I just don't want to void any of our warranties if anything,
Yep.
if we were to, have anything.
Yep. I can reach out to the deputy and let you know on that.
Yeah, that's fine, that's all I got.
So you got anything else in the vehicles or equipment? No? Thank you. Okay, at this time, I'd like to open the meeting for public comment. Is there anybody here for public comment? Okay, seeing none, I will close the public comment portion.
I'll make a motion to go into non-public session under RSA 91-A:3, Roman 2A, promotion and compensation.
Derek, is that it
Yes, that's all that there is for this evening, yes.
for non-public too?
Yes.
Okay, so you second, Mark, so motion by Collis, second by Mark. Any discussion, all in favor?
That's a roll.
That's a roll call.
Oh, sorry, any discussion?
Aye.
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 Aye. Thank you. Okay, we will now go into non-public session. Thank you.